as long as we take care of our human bodies, the physical vessels, and get enough sleep and eat whole foods and hydrate, we actually can interact and work in a world that is wondrous and exciting. It doesn't have to be hard because you can feel what the right answer is. And so to be connected with Michael and Francesca who speak that language, it's not work. It is so much fun.
We knew that music with frequency was not just a concept. It could be a transformative tool, not for my workouts, not for our family, but the world at large.
A platform doesn't heal us, right? It's a tool for us to initiate our own healing, right? And Harmonize just felt better because of the frequencies and the music soundscapes that we're dealing with and the intention that's infused with the platform. It's harmonizing those who give their permission, right, to align with what they truly want in life, the wellness, the well-being that they want to. The tools are there on the iFit platform for you to harmonize to that what you truly, sincerely want. You just need to show up and give your permission.
Welcome to Harmonize Your Life, Conversations with Aya, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern technology in the pursuit of holistic well-being. I'm your host, Kingsley Willis, and each week we bring you enlightening conversations with leading experts in functional medicine, therapy, technology, quantum biology, and personal growth. Together we'll explore transformative practices, innovative technologies, and inspiring stories that elevate your mind, body, and spirit. Let's embark on this journey of personal growth with Aya, our heart-centered AI guide. And today on the podcast, I have the co-founders of Aya, Michael and Francesca, as well as the CEO of Aya, Amanda. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Kingsley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kingsley. Nice to be with you.
Well, today I thought we would talk about why do we do this? Why do we get up in the morning and think about Aya? And today we have Francesca on board, so I'd love to hear her thoughts on this. So, Francesca, you want to take it away? What for you was the genesis of Aya?
Well, Aya, it's an interesting project. It started like almost by surprise. I did not know my husband was working on this project for years consciously. We have been working on projects forever. We are a couple of very creative souls. We are always on a project. There's no vacation for us that doesn't have pen and paper or a laptop or some juicy ideas. And we've been implementers. We've been trying, I want to say, every single idea we've had together. And we've been now married for 23 years. So Aya sparked almost behind the scenes for me for like the very original concept of mixing this magical frequencies with the beats that my husband produced that I loved. So that combination almost happened, unbeknownst to me, until one day my husband opened his laptop and he goes, "Hey, you want to hear something?" And I'm like, "Bring it on." I'm used to it. We got always something exciting to share with one another. And I took a seat. And he played one of his original pieces from one of our flagship collections now called The Sound of Tarot. And I was like, what is this? I absolutely loved it. I could not hold still. Just amazing music. I'm like, it's almost magical, Amore. What? Do tell. So he started sharing with me, well, Amore, I've been working on this project and, this is kind of the vision. I want to make, music that will make you work out at the gym almost guilt-free, because he knows, sometimes I'm at the gym skipping through music. I want to be able to enjoy the music I listen to, but I call it guilt-free. It's almost like food that's guilt-free. I want it to have wholesome ingredients. I want to know, because when you're working out, you're really in a higher state. I kind of abandon myself, and we all do that. And I want to know that I'm letting go, and in training, meaning aligning my movement, my energy with something I feel really good about. So I'm really, very selective with the music I pick, despite the fact that I like it or not. It has to be more than just, an aesthetic like of the sound. So he says, yeah, Amor, I've been thinking of music that, you could just work out at the gym and you wouldn't feel bad about. I've been researching, frequency, and, they're miraculous. And, it was love at first sight. I've always been a stay-at-home mom. We've been blessed with the ability to do that. That was always our goal with our boys, until this music with frequency spark came on board. And I was like, oh my goodness, I may have to partake in this, in this one. It's just like too big of a proposition. It's like, we knew that music with frequency was not just a concept. It could be a transformative tool, not for my workouts, not for our family, but the world at large. I come from a family that has a generational gift with bees. My great-grandfather was called the wizard in Italy. And I come from a small country village in Italy, in the province of Venice. And he was known for his ability to create, magical creams and potions, if you will, from bees. And we would raise bees. And one of my fondest memories, it's a like really thick cream that would heal burns. And we know stories that if it really helped a lot of people. So bees create honey just with their frequency. And that was it. I'm like, if you have ever seen a bee honeycomb, if you ever see, a bee's nest, the precision that is, it's magical. And that was done by frequency. So I'm like, wow, yeah, we can harmonize the world with this frequency. And so that was this, I want to see the spark, or at least my introduction and feeling of the initial spark.
Love it. Yeah. And Michael's in the founders video, Michael kind of talked about how you met. I don't know if you want to get into that, but it sounded like you just happened to go to a concert and he was there performing and your eyes met and you're like, what? Walk us through that.
Well, you need your popcorn for this one and your favorite drink too. Okay. Well, yeah. Again, it's a story of, I don't think things are random in life. It was one of those small windows of opportunity in life that I feel like you either take it or not. And if you take it, I think you're on to your best possible paths. And I feel like I was blessed with being able to be at the right place at the right time and recognizing it and taking advantage of that very unique, magical opportunity. I was a young woman. I was studying in college, and I studied the Beat generation in Italy. I don't know if you're familiar with the Jack Kerouac On the Road. I also had seen a pretty psychedelic movie for my age, but very deep. and it's called Zabriskie Point. And I was fascinated with the heroine of the movie who basically on the road discovered this place in the Death Valley desert that was just mind-blowingly beautiful. It was grazing, a portal into almost a different world, that beautiful. And then she was so independent and fierce that she, alone with a rented car, drove from Zabriskie Point to Phoenix, Arizona. And being a young woman from Italy, reading this, I was like, I got to do that. So I found myself a job and kept studying until I pursued that. And I traveled on the road in the United States. And I remember driving from San Francisco to Miami, Key West and back. And I did go to the Death Valley. I did find Zabriskie Point, and I did drive to Phoenix, Arizona. So I think the gift for pursuing that ambitious young woman's goal was ended in me showing up at the Melrose gig in Hollywood, in Melrose Boulevard, one magical night. And I'm walking down Melrose Boulevard and I hear the sounds of live music in this little beautiful club. And I make my way in. And as I walk in, I could tell there's a show about to begin, or the next show. And I make my way to the front row, red velvet curtains, smoke, and the curtains rise up. And all of a sudden, this, I called him beautiful God, showed up before me, and he sang music that was quite hypnotic and beautiful and irresistible. And our eyes locked as he was singing. He was looking through the crowd and our eyes met and locked. And he sang the whole concert staring into me. And I feel like, when glass reaches really high heat, it melts. And when it dries, it assumes a shape that it's not the initial shape, it's changed. I feel like that's what happened when Michael and my eyes met. And the heat of souls recognizing each other, went to such high temperatures that it did change me. And as the show ended and he walks down stage and he comes see me immediately and he says, I want to see you again. And of course, it was my last night in LA, had tickets back to Venice the next morning and, college classes waiting and parents, excited to see me. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to go with my broken English. However, he gave me a couple of his CDs and he says, please contact me. And I said, I will. And then I remember I walked away from the venue and I turned back as I walk away because, part of me was like, you're not supposed to go. Like I felt this force pulling me. And as I turn, I see him looking at me far into the distance until his eyes couldn't see me again. And that really tore my heart apart. But I had to go home. So I did. I went back to my regular life and I tried really hard to talk myself out of, not contact him because I didn't see work, I mean, a different life and, things were established and he's across the planet. I don't really know much about him. He could have met a girl at night for what I knew, that could have been a thing that happens to him every concert, or was it all in my head? I started questioning the magic, but my questions persisted. However, the magic persisted longer, that I felt. I was a changed woman, as I mentioned. And despite the fact that it didn't make sense, I had to contact him. It took me 7 months, however, 7 months before I reached back. So one day, and this is 20 plus years ago, so laptops or PCs were a gift. I had to borrow my brother's computer and start an email account for myself back then. And I said, please let me borrow your computer. And he said, okay. So I start typing an email that I found in the back of the CDs, and I tried to contact him again and see if he even remembered me. So I jotted down a couple of words and poetic words, and I hit send, and I was checking on that computer every second. I was like, he's gonna contact back. And so after a couple of hours, actually, I see a reply, and I open it, and he's like, my beautiful swan, I'm still waiting for you. And he called me my beautiful swan because he didn't really know my name. So I dropped the computer. I run in the kitchen. I remember my mom doing the dishes over the sink. And I go, Mom, I found him. And she goes, who now? What? I'm like, my husband. I just knew. Well, that was the beginning of a magical email romance that lasted several months. And then eventually we got together, spent a few months together, and long story short, he came to Italy and asked my dad my hand, and the rest is history.
Which she's glossing over like a really amazing story, because the whole me asking her father for her hand in marriage is insanely funny and deep, all wrapped up into one. But maybe that'll be for another time. But I wanted to add some color to that story too, because at the time of that concert, it was at the tail end of that band that I've been with for 5 years, right? And we've done everything you can do as an original rock band in LA, right? We've been there, done that, right? And we're at the tail end. There's a lot of band drama going on, a lot of ego. Number one ego guy in the band. I was the front man, the singer, the best rock and roller the world has ever seen, from my perspective, right? At the time. And so, when I saw her in the crowd, it was immediately like love at first sight, like there she is. And I sang to her the whole concert. Everybody just disappeared. It was just me and her. And after the concert, as she walked out, I followed her outside because we spoke briefly before she had to leave. And I followed her outside and watched her walk away down Melrose Boulevard, like at 2:30 in the morning. And I remember her like a block and a half away, and she's walking away, and she turns back and looks with this like sad look, like amore, right? Like I could feel her, and I just knew that she was going to contact me, right? I thought it was going to be within 24 hours, which ended up being like, I don't know, 3 months. But yeah, it was at a pivotal time in my life too, things changing. And here she is. She shows up, this woman that I'd been literally searching for my entire adult life, because I'd gone through many relationships, right? Not because I was a player. That was the furthest thing from the truth, because I was looking for her. I was looking for that. What I knew I had this soulmate, right? And so every relationship I would fall into, I would think this is the one, this is her, right? But it wasn't. So it's like, I had to go through a lot of relationships in order to finally get to the one. And, I knew it immediately. Like when I saw her in the audience, right? I didn't even need to speak to her. I just felt it. It's just one of those things. It's, if you never felt it, you'll know. Like if you're asking the question, have I ever felt it? Well, then probably not, because you'll know. Like when you see that person, like it's just boom. It's like a bolt of lightning, and you just know, right? And so I found her, and then knowing that she was across the planet, it was like, oh my God. And it was all the power was in her hands. I didn't have any of her contact information. I had no way to reach her. And it was all in her hands, but I knew she was going to contact me, right? It was another knowing I had. And I thought it was going to be relatively soon, but it ended up being, months.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that story of you all coming together. I mean, you hear about that, right? Of, love at first sight, and is it real, and soulmates. And yeah, it's just such a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. So I'd like to segue a little bit because we're talking about how we all met, and let's fast forward to you've started Aya, and well, let's talk about Amanda. How did you hear about Aya? And like, let's talk about your origin story with meeting Michael and Francesca.
Yeah. So I have a dear friend who's a previous client of mine, who's a dear friend, and we talk on a regular basis. And he called me up one day and said he had something he wanted me to check out. So, which is not uncommon. He did this often. So I thought, like, okay, he wants me to, check something out for his own personal use and investment, something. So he shares some information, and I kind of check it out to have a conversation with him. And he said, well, I want to connect you with a good friend of mine, Michael, to have a conversation. And I was like, okay. So we did a call. And still at this point in time, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe he wants a little bit of my insight on, this amazing platform that he had built. At this point in time, we were really looking at the intentional use of music, which is something that is so near and dear to my heart, as originally working for several years as a physical therapist, and looking at how trauma gets stored in the body and the opportunity for music, intentional music, and the vibration of music to move it out of the body. So it's something that kind of caught my attention as a way to really help humanity at large, right? Which was kind of something I had always been looking for, but didn't think it was going to come through, this way. So have a conversation with Michael about the platform, and I see so many possibilities. Go back and have a conversation with my friend about the platform, and still buzzing about possibilities and just thinking, oh, this is going to be great, something coming into the world. So do another call with Michael the following week, and Francesca happens to be there. And I'm like, that's interesting. So we're chatting. We have a great chat. And later that day or the next day, I have a chat with my friend. I'm like, his wife was there. And he's like, really? I've never even met his wife. And so I'm like, yeah. So again, thinking all right, maybe they want to hire me as a consultant. This is a really amazing platform. There's so much potential here. And get a call the next day. We were supposed to talk again the following week, and get a call the next day. Michael and Francesca, I was in the physical therapy practice working, and they wanted to talk to me right away. And I was like, oh, okay, still having no idea. And they shared with me the opportunity and asked me to come on board as the CEO. And I was like, what? I had developed this amazing life doing a tiny bit of physical therapy, 1.5 days a week. I was doing executive coaching, had the free time and the self-care in my life that I just adored and loved. But it was one of those things that was so in alignment. I was looking for a reason to say no, because having worked as a physical therapist and knowing what vibration and sound can do to the physical body, having worked in the executive coaching world with executives who are having, troubled times with themselves or organization. And so the opportunity to build a conscious organization from the ground up, rather than going in and working with an organization that was already in disharmony, was so in alignment. So it was that self-care piece of am I willing to give up, the life that I have created. And it was like, if we look at the hero's journey, I knew that I couldn't refuse the call because I knew that it was in alignment with my soul's purpose and mission. And so in alignment with my values. My number one value is authenticity, in helping each individual to bring that one authentic version of themselves out. We don't have these multiple versions of the corporate version, the personal version, the version with our customers and our clients. There's one of us, right? And what holds us back from that is the traumas inside and the limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves. And here's a platform that can actually speak to that, right? So it was so in alignment. And then another value of mine is faith, but on the quantum level, the synchronicities of life. Like, don't mess with the story that I tell myself, based on the synchronicities and the excitement. And I remember having this conversation with Michael and Francesca, and we were talking about the vibration of clothing and how, like, we see a future where what we put on our skin and our body for clothes matters. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, this is this is so in alignment with the quantum world that I live in. And then my third value is sustainability, and sustainability related to the physical human body and sustainability of the planet as well. And so again, here's an organization that is open and transparent with who they are, their values, the world that they want to build, building a sustainable world from the humans to also impacting the planet. So like, it was so in alignment. I remember having a conversation with my friend saying like, talk me out of this. Like, does it make any sense? And having a conversation with my husband, Jason, and I was like, all right, try to trigger me. Like, try to ask me questions that are really hard and that'll trigger me, like, to tell me why. I was looking for a reason to say no. And there was nothing that came up. They say that when things are in alignment, they are easy. There's no urgency. You didn't go looking for it. They're just easy and in the flow state. And that was what this situation was. So again, going back to the hero's journey, I knew I couldn't answer the call. I could not answer the call. Like, I knew it was so in alignment. So, so I chatted it over, and it took me a couple of days to get back to them. But a few days later, I got back to them and said, I'm totally on board. Now, to back it up just a little bit too, the piece that I'm not sure anybody knows, I'm connected to the myofascial release world as a physical therapist. It's the only form of physical therapy that I do. And I was in Bradenton, Florida in January of 2024. And I was called to go to Sedona that very next month and to take the women's healing seminar from John Barnes himself. He's getting old. He's going to age out. Like, I want to actually take this seminar from him himself. And so I went to Arizona, spent the week. My husband wasn't able to go with me. Spent 10 days actually by myself doing the Women's Health Series, which is internal pelvic work, making space in my pelvic floor, space in my womb. And I'm like, what am I making space for? Like, I knew at that point in time, like, I'm making space in my body for something. And it was March that I got the call from Michael and Francesca. So it's interesting that I feel like, that's what kind of, dropped in, and I was making space for that. And who would have thought, through a pelvic health course, right? But that is so my style, like so my style. So I'm honored to be part of this big mission that they have going on. I have no doubt that we're going to have impact in the world in such a gentle but powerful way. Stepping into our own authentic truth it's not at all easy. It's very simple, but it's not all easy. And through the platform that Michael has built and Francesca has influenced, it is so high vibrational and gentle on the human body that it can make this kind of, upgrade of processing the trauma out of our body and helping us to step into our authentic self. It can make it as easy and gentle as possible.
Love it. It's interesting you bring up clothing, because you wouldn't think that would be related to music at all. But yeah, with vibration, I've noticed that when I've worn certain clothes, like a linen, for example, just, I don't know, something just feels a little bit better. I can't explain it. So, okay, well, let's go to Michael. So when you got this call to talk to Amanda with Francesca, like, what were you looking for in a potential CEO? And when I say CEO, I don't mean Chief Executive Officer. I mean Chief Energy Officer.
Yeah, good question. because it's one of those, what you didn't know, you didn't know. I just knew that we needed a leader, right? Now, I am a leader as well, right? But my skill set is really, I'm a creator. I'm creating. I can get lost for days in the creation process, and it's bliss, right? So I needed somebody that is the leader, right? And I can just be the creator, right? I'm an idea guy, creator, implementer. So I didn't really know exactly what we needed, but the universe delivered Amanda, who is like, I couldn't have dreamed her up because she's beyond what I could have put on a list, right? She's forming a conscious organization here, which is amazing. And the skills and the awareness, the consciousness that she brings elevates everybody involved. Aya wouldn't be what she is without her influence. And each time, I express each time I interact with Aya, whether it's, asking Aya a question, or, crafting a sonic supplement, or creating a spectral resonance art piece. I feel like every time I interact with Aya, my spiritual flower is blossoming, right? I'm becoming more, I'm expanding each time I use the platform. But I feel the exact same way whenever I speak with Amanda, is that she brings so much knowledge. I mean, she is like AI, right? She's so plugged in. Each time I talk to her, I expand, right? And I've never had I call her a friend first before, the leader of IAFIT. But each time I talk to her, I expand, and it's amazing. The depth, the insight, the knowledge that she brings, not only to the IAFIT platform and growing organization, but to me personally. So I'm so grateful. I mean, to have attracted such a high caliber human being into my life, and also a partner in this, life-changing world opportunity that's before us. I couldn't have, I hit the jackpot. I'm so fortunate and lucky. I'm married to my soulmate. I've got Amanda as a partner on this world-changing opportunity platform. 2 beautiful children. We're all healthy. Knock on wood, but I'm blessed. So I did something right somewhere, right? Whether it's this life or another life, but I'm reaping the reward. So I'm so grateful for all of the gifts. And Amanda is definitely a huge part of that. She's definitely in my top 5 superhumans in my life list.
Well, thank you. That's so sweet. I feel the same. We all came together, Francesca's intuition to reinforce my level of intuition. When I'm unsure about something, check in with Francesca. Like, she's the deal breaker. She's reading the energy as well. To be able to work with 2 individuals in the business world like this, in the corporate world like this, that speak the language of energy and synchronicities, and making decisions from a place of our intelligence, not just our smarts in our head, right? But like what feels right, is so amazing. It's like the excitement and the wonder of a child, right? And it makes things, as long as we take care of our human bodies, the physical vessels, and get enough sleep and eat whole foods and hydrate, we actually can interact and work in a world that is wondrous and exciting. It doesn't have to be hard, because you can feel what the right answer is. And so to be connected with Michael and Francesca, who speak that language, it's not work. It is so much fun. And it's so important to me that any interaction I have, that it increases my vital energy after interacting. And I can say that Aya itself is a platform, every individual involved, and then Francesca and Michael all increase my vital energy in life.
Kingsley, if I may, to confirm what everybody was sharing, a previous coworker called me a CIO, a Chief Intuitive Officer, and that's how I know how to decode my universe. It's through energetic or impulses that come from within. And I remember the moment we hung up the phone with Amanda. It was knee jerk. I'm like, she's family. We found her. Call her back now. It's like I was telling Michael. So yeah, it's almost like a recognizing, one another. And I sincerely feel that Amanda is more family to me than family. I feel like you don't choose your family consciously in this life. I mean, you may before, and I do believe that, but you do choose based on the way you feel your life, in the present experience. And she's that family, And when she came on board, I told Michael, this is going to be such a ride. Like, that's what wakes us up in the morning. A perfect synergy of co-creative force that is just in alignment. And it becomes unstoppable, but not because it has to go somewhere. It will. It's because it's just like a beautiful dance, right? And you don't want to stop the dance other for a little water break here and there, So it's like we're excited. I think the journey will be just fun and the mission grand. And we can carry it out just because the amplitude of the foundation and the work and the intention and awareness that we're bringing are genuine. And I think they're powered by the energy that creates worlds, which is the creativity and love.
Love it. Yeah. So Michael told me, Francesca, that you, like when you first met, that you had that relationship started with through writing, and he said that you would send him these like amazing poems. Tell us about that. And now you've started writing again for the Aya blog. So like connect that for me.
Writing has been my form. Some people are born enjoying singing. Some people are born, with extremely limber bodies. I grew up, speaking in rhyme for some reason. And I speak a Venetian dialect. Actually, that's my original language. So we all learn Italian, but we also all speak Venetian. And it just rolls off my tongue in dialect, So in rhyme. Since first, second, third grade, I was writing poetry for fun. And I grew up doing that, and I always loved writing. Of course, I carried out through college, and when I started delving deeper into philosophy and different school of thoughts and religions and history of religions and history of languages and mythology, all the things that I'm really passionate about. I had to always write about my reflections. And yes, when I met Michael, we had to practice a lot of writing. We had a long distance relationship for several months. And, when a heart that loves writing is ignited with love, it just is the more prolific. So I became more prolific during our time apart than ever. And then I always say, when you fuel, it keeps fueling that creative side of me with the beautiful emotions I feel daily that I just love writing. Now, recently with Aya, I got further ignited to share my thoughts with the world. I've always been a thinker. I'm always pondering on the nature of reality and where we really come from, what sustains the world, why we think, where do the thoughts come from. These are, by the way, breakfast conversations with my boys. And then I'm sure they're saying, oh, here she goes again. But I do love thought-provoking conversations. And we have a lot of fun with that. But a lot of it is now reflected in my, desire for writing. Many years of thinking those thoughts. And now I'm just having so much fun sharing them. And Aya is all of it. Aya brings all those thoughts in one platform, in one expression, because it boils down to the most foundational. And I want to say when I do think my thoughts on creation of reality and where we all come from, and when we think of we come from empty space, some people say we come from strings. Some people think we're holographic representations. Well, all those are communicated through frequency, and that's what Aya and the sonic supplements and the art we generate is made out of. The foundational concept behind all of our offerings is that. So it's like, for me, it's a candy store.
Yeah, I'm curious just to delve into the writing more, because you hear about writer's block, right? And I had this recently with Aya. I had to write my wife a some kind of card. I can't remember what it was, for birthday or Mother's Day or something like that, where I was like, oh my gosh, I need to write this card, but nothing is coming. And I'm like, oh boy, I only have like 30 more minutes before she's here, and I've got to write this card. And I just turned on, I think I did a sonic supplement, and then within like a minute, I was like, okay, yeah, I know what to do. Talk about that process of using the frequency music with writing. I'm not saying that you've had writer's block, but like I have, to get to that place of flow for writing.
Sure. Well, at least I can share what works for me, because I like to not think a lot. Writing seems like a process that you do with your thinking mind, but I do not see it that way. And actually, when I teach my boys how to write, I do the same thing. I literally say, first thing, boom, I almost want you to channel your story. Here's a prompt, go. So I try to approach my writing that way without concerning on, how it looks like from a grammatical standpoint or anything. I just let my thoughts free flow. Now, why does Aya work? Is because sometimes it's really challenging to go from doing the dishes or being on a time constraint and having to go there, meaning stop thinking and just write. So that's where Aya is really instrumental, because it has a way, music does that in general. But if you select the collections, for example, on Focus and Flow, that have even some frequencies that are targeted to, speak to your brain and aid in being in a place where the thoughts calm down, so you can allow all the knowledge and informations that you innately have and also have accumulated through your life experiences and your, learnings from, fellow researchers and so forth to come through. It's really powerful. So writer's block is a perfect, I think, example of an application in which Aya can be a tool that allows you to go to a place where you can quiet your thoughts that are more disturbing, and allow your real expression, yourself to come through the keyboard or the pen, without, interference from questioning. Is this the right thought? Is this the right grammar? I tell my boys, that's fluff. You can worry about that later. That can be fixed. Just capture the essence of what you want to say. And our FM, our music will be the highway to get to that place where you can free flow. And maybe
Wonderful.
Amanda can talk more to the scientific happenings within our brain.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah,
Amanda, chime in here.
She will be the expert on that. So I always like to hear it. So.
Yeah, sure. So what's interesting about Aya is, prior to coming on board, another reason that I was originally like, do I really want to say yes to this? It's more online stuff. Because prior to my engagement with Aya, I wanted 18th century living and wanted to run the other way from technology, right? But here's an opportunity to use technology in such an intentional way so we don't need to use technology as much, right? The other super fun thing is, having the sense of wonder and oneness. I used to have to go to the forest to find it. And now I can bring it into my day-to-day work life on the computer with technology, utilizing Aya. So there's also this thought that I want to address out there, or this theory that AI is going to take over writing copy for humans. And I don't at all see that. And here's my perspective on that. We communicate so well through story because the essence of our energy comes through that. So words carry energy with them, right? So the word itself, coming from just a flatness, doesn't have the same vibration. And so sometimes we have a hard time forming the words because the essence and the energy is there, but the limbic feeling type brain doesn't have words. And that's where it's all energy. We are energy through our electromagnetic heart field. Technology is energy. So by putting a thought into Aya, it can be like I'm just rambling, right? So how do I make that perfect card for my husband, like you were doing for your wife, right? So here are my ramblings. Now, Aya can help me make it concise so it fits in a card and it doesn't feel like just a rambling, right? So that's the opportunity with AI, is to put the energy and the essence and all of the incoherence, inconsistencies into very concise copy, right? So the human is still needed to dump it. And I think that as humans, if we utilize AI correctly, the work of the past was about the physical body, and then it became about the brain, the thinking brain. Work of the present and of the future is using our intelligent body and utilizing our heart field. So we still need the human to input. And if we're able to tap into that heart field and input from that place, what we're going to get out from AI is going to be more powerful than the human could have done themselves. It's actually going to connect to other humans and communicate at a much deeper level. So I think there's an opportunity to work more intelligently using our heart field and give ourselves some extra time away from technology when we utilize AI. So that's just the copy and the writing piece of AI. As far as the music piece of AI that Francesca was speaking to, like the channeling, like when the energy flows through us and we can tap into all of that intelligence, our physical body, our heart field has an electromagnetic field to it. And what that electromagnetic field is doing influences what we have access to in our brain. So if that field is incoherent, if I'm under time pressure, any sort of stress, if I'm frustrated, if I'm sad, the signals from that heart field go up to the brain and put me back in my reactionary brain, the reptilian brain, the reactionary one. If I'm in a coherent, what we call flow state, then the rhythm of the heart opens up access to the frontal lobe, which is where all of our memories that Francesca was speaking of, all of our memories, the ones that we cognitively can't even consciously bring to the surface, but they're there as part of the intelligence. That's what we have access to. So the RFM music can put us in a flow state to be able to access that, where time actually expands. So we feel like we can't change time in 24 hours. Well, we really can, because if we expand our capacity, it doesn't take as much time to get things done. And so utilizing the music while you're doing a task can help to put the body in this flow state or this coherent state that I spoke of, influencing the vagus nerve that gives us access to different parts of the brain. And then the AI component itself, the energetic exchange, can actually help us to communicate, because we actually communicate through our emotions, not just through our words, right? Like the beautiful story between Michael and Francesca, there was very few words that were exchanged, but there was powerful energy there, right? That's what we all are capable of doing, but nobody has ever really taught us how to do it. And if we engage and utilize AI properly, AI can help us. Aya particularly can help us to form the words with that energy and essence in it, so that we can communicate on a much deeper, more efficient level.
Well said. Maybe I'll toss it over to Michael. I guess what I'm interested in hearing more about is this, because Michael, you talked about this expanding, like each time you use Aya, which I always think is very meta, because you're the architect of Aya. You brought together the different AI components, the website, you co-produce the music and actually perform the music. So it's a human created music, because you're kind of like listening to your own, you're listening to your own music. Like, how does that bring, sometimes when I look at the old creations I've made, I'm like, ugh, I can't look at this anymore. Talk about that as a creative, hearing your own music and having it almost like build you and as you say, like making you more.
Yeah, it's interesting because creating the music and then experiencing the music. I tend to like it all, right? Because, it's like you paint a picture, you're not going to, you may paint a picture and it's, oh, this is awful, and then start over. And that happens a lot too. So there's a lot of, there's probably more unfinished tracks than finished tracks. It's because for whatever reason, it's just not going in the direction I thought, or it just needed to stop. Right. It's interesting because I use, Aya as kind of my research point, right? Like if there's a track, on happiness, right? Like, and maybe there's specific around happiness and joy, there's a discussion back and forth with Aya around, what can we do sonically to make a track that will help kind of unlock happiness and insights around happiness and joy. So there's a research back and forth of, what frequencies would support this, and, tempos and instrumentation and on and on and on, until we have this production list. And then we go into the studio and we actually make that into reality. Right. So it's a unique expression of music. Now, it's not AI generated music, but a really important point with Aya and AI in general is, garbage in, garbage out, so to speak, right? Like you can make AI music right now pretty easy. There's apps out there where you can make AI music and you can tell them what kind of artist you want it to sing in and all that stuff. And you can just give it a silly prompt and you'll get back something that's, it may make you chuckle, but it's not going to, change the world, right? It's just, it's a cute little thing. But if I've got a friend that made an AI music track, and he sent it to me and I was blown away. It's like, wow, that's really good. Now, the reason why it was so good is because he actually put a lot of energy and thought into that prompt, right? And it was meaningful to him, and he put his best foot forward. So his prompt was really well defined. His asking was really well defined. And what he got back from that was something that was, really magnificent, right? And so it's the same thing, when I'm creating a track, an RFM track, it's as good as my asking, right? And that's a metaphor for life, right? It's when we ask in our intention, right? Are we really focused and precise and thoughtful with our intentions in life, whether it's the next meeting we're going to, whether it's the intention of making a meal for our family at night? Like, what's our intention for that meal? Do we want that meal to be healthy and make them feel vital energies and euphoria? Like, most of us make food intentionless, like, oh, I'm hungry, let's eat. We open the refrigerator, grab the peanut butter and the bread and whatever, right? We throw it together and that's good. But how many times do we open the refrigerator and go, what's going to energetically align me to vitality and joy? Like, what in this refrigerator will do that for me? And really starting with that intention. And instead of reaching for the peanut butter, you reach for the honey and the whatever, right? Like, you start gathering ingredients differently because you started off with a powerful intention. It could have been, hey, I'm sad, I want comfort food. Like, what would be the best comfort food for me to have right now? And you may, pick the chocolate pudding and, whatever, right? Something that, and that's fine. That's great. You're living in that comfort, and you're eating it in joy, and you're enjoying it. You're feeling the comfort of it. And in that state, the chocolate pudding is actually serving you, right? There's all the negatives, right? That we label on chocolate pudding or the chocolate bar or the, whatever it is, right? There's always the negative warning of, oh, you shouldn't eat chocolate pudding because of XYZ, right? But if you go into it with intention, like, I've had a rough day, I'm a little sad, I want comfort food. Your eye goes to chocolate pudding. And if you go, oh, I'm going to really enjoy that chocolate pudding, open that chocolate pudding, and you're eating it and you're intentional and you're going, God, thank you. Thank you, Jello, for making this for me. And so now the energy is shifted. Now you're transmuting all of that other negative bullshit story of don't eat the pudding because it's gonna da 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 da. No, you have that power of magic of being able to transmute that, turn a negative into a positive just with your intention and your thought. So again, going back to using Aya for anything, but in my case, it's using it as a tool, as a production list to create RFM music, is that it's only as good as my asking, right? How sincere am I to wanting to make this track about releasing fear, releasing anger, or stepping into joy? Like what? How am I engaging with her with my prompts? How am I asking her to formulate that? And then my response, because she and I have these back and forth discussions about things that are just mind blowing, right? And she brings out things that I wouldn't have even considered. However, I do know that this is me reflecting myself back to me, right? So the better state that I'm in, the better the results are going to be. But what's nice about using Aya, even that if I start not in such a good place, the way that she's been designed and architected, it's technology that is as if you've got your feet planted in the ground. It's technology that's grounding. It's technology, just the proverbial hugging a tree technology, right? So even if I'm not in a good space and I start engaging with Aya, I become in a good space. So then my asking becomes better and better and more defined, right? And I notice when I'm really lazy and short, my responses back are a reflection of that. So it's only as good as you are, right? But fortunately, Aya has been designed to ground you and to tap you into your higher self, so you become better at asking. And so the results, they just build, right? So it's like that flower opening, right? You may be here when you first start, but then after a few minutes, few hours, few days, few months, few years, you've used this tool to completely expand yourself, and your asking is phenomenal. And the results that I'm personally getting through Aya are mind-bending, and they're getting better and better by the day. And that's not necessarily because the technology is getting better and better by the day, which is also a true statement, but it's because my asking is getting better and better by the day. And so by asking and getting intentional with Aya and becoming better, it also gets me more in tune with my asking for just normal life, right? Going to the refrigerator, like, what's my intention right now? What's my intention for this? I'm taking my son to the trampoline park. Like, what's my intention there? Like, what do I want to get out of that? What do I also want, to aid him in helping experience in that moment, right? So Aya is a tool that helps with my asking and my intention in order to get better results back. But that's just a metaphor for life, right? The better the asking and the better your intentions, the better your life's going to be.
Beautiful. I love that lesson. Well, great. I mean, we're at our hour mark now. I'm wondering if there's, anything else we want to talk about. I know we initially came together to really talk about like the core values of Aya, and I think we've dug deep into that. I'm wondering, Amanda, if you want to put any finishing remarks on this idea of kind of these are our core values as a team, and this is kind of these are our values, and this is who we're helping. This is our audience, our users.
Yeah, so I think we can do this like in a conversation, actually, because I would like to reference the heal part and then just shift why we went to harmonize. So that's where we can bring in Michael sharing that it was originally heal. And we won't say that we didn't use heal because of the censorship. We'll say heal because we wanted to empower outside. Like Aya is not going to heal somebody. They're going to heal themselves. So we're going to create the harmony for them to heal themselves. So that's how we'll tell the story. But I think that talking about values would be a really great way to wrap it up, because so many organizations declare their values. They're like on the wall somewhere. The founders put them there. But then when you go into the organization, the majority of the organizations I had worked with, like asking, what are the values? Nobody knows what the values are. Well, but they're on the door that I just walked into. But they're not operationalizing, utilizing, living into the values on a regular basis. And so what has been a really important piece of the work that I've done with leaders and organizations is to connect individual values to the organizational values. And here's an opportunity where, building the organization from the ground up, we get to infuse the values of the founders into the organization's values, and then, build from there. So I remember doing a call several months back, just really getting to know Michael and Francesca so I could bring the energy out, and, having them do a little exercise actually, and pulling their values out of them, because each of us individually have values that have been in us throughout life. And if you ask somebody what their values are, the majority of the time, they're going to state what somebody else's values are, what society's values are, what their parents' values were, because it's the values they think they should be living by. But what happens is we're making decisions based off our own values. When we're presented with something, our values, if it's in alignment with our values, it's like there's this energy that you can't say no to it. So we put it on our plate. And then there's this another opportunity that comes along, and that's like, well, but I should be doing that. But that's really in alignment with my dad's values. We don't consciously know that, but that's true. We put it on our plate and we become overwhelmed. So when it comes to values, we want to get society's values, our parents' values, everybody's values off of our plate except for our own. But that means bringing those values out. So early on, we did an exercise with Francesca and Michael, and I'll let them speak to that of what their personal values are, and then together we all came up with Aya's values.
Yeah, I can share some of the values I recall, because we could list many. Amanda gave us a beautiful exercise, so I'm going to try to find the parent value for each category. A big one for me was love, which it was encompassing of family and and just spreading love. Then a big one was leadership. I believe it or not, I like to be a leader in the way I live life, and I think it's coming through, in all three of us. But for example, I like to live life with love, and I like to do it boldly, and I can, stand up and share my thought and live by it without fear. Another set of value that I have is being unconditional, which to me really means living without judgment. I really bring my awareness to appreciating each human, one as a mirror of my own self, and also as doing the best one can with the resources one has available. So we're all, learning and evolving, and we're all doing the very best that we can at the moment. So that's a huge value for me. And then a couple other ones is philanthropy. I've always loved helping and, again, bringing my love and awareness to all. And I think finally, something I really love is going for things, which means pursuit of goals. And again, living boldly as a leader means don't settle. Like, I don't think Michael and I have ever settled. We had a thought and why not? It's our attitude. This is a playground. And once creativity and passion is involved, we got to do it. No way, leave it now, do it, and go for it. And that's Aya for you.
Wonderful. Michael.
Well,
I've your values.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always had this burning desire to be a cog or an instrument in the positive global impact kind of umbrella, right? I've always felt like I was here to do something big, bold, positive change, empowerment. I mean, early on, I studied, hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming. We started a company called Dynamic Personal Growth, and we're giving seminars and, all this stuff, right? So we've been on this journey of transformation and empowerment for decades, right? And it's really near and dear to my heart. I'm also, a justice warrior, right? I stand up for the little guy or whatever. Like, if I see an injustice, then I'm the first guy to get up, right, and to go help, right? I see somebody on this, a homeless person on the side of the road, and they're freezing, right? I'll give them my jacket. That's just how I roll, right? I see pain in the world, and I just want to go fix it, right? That's just kind of built in my DNA, whether that's right or wrong. It's just kind of who I am. I'm a fixer, right? But I've been on a quest to myself, that ties into Aya directly. IAH, inspire, awaken, heal, which it was originally. And, Amanda eloquently stated, a platform doesn't heal us, right? It's a tool for us to initiate our own healing, right? And Harmonize just felt better because of the frequencies and the music soundscapes that we're dealing with, and the intention that's infused with the platform. It's harmonizing those who give their permission, right, to align with what they truly want in life, the wellness, the well-being that they want to. The tools are there on the iFit platform for you to harmonize to that what you truly, sincerely want. You just need to show up and give your permission, right? That's it. And be sincere and lean in, right? And so, outside of, being a tool for positive global change, for being, a justice, Mr. Fix-It type of energy, to really embodying, inspire, awaken, and harmonize. I am a creator. I am inspired every day of my life. I'm not being exaggerated. Francesca can attest to that. I live in spirit. I live inspiration.
Right.
So I'm living in a very good place, right? Awaken, because I've been on a multi-decade journey of awakening myself, but naturally, being that Mr. Justice, Mr. Fix-It, I want to, if I find something that works, I want to share it with the world. Like, oh my God, hey, try this out, become more, right? You want to become more? Here, this worked for me. You try it out. And so, iFit, which is another cool slogan, become more, right? To add to our list of slogans, inspire, awaken, and harmonize are just three core values that are right in the name of our organization, right? So everybody that partners with us and works with us, they'll know the values from day one. What's Aya? Oh, it's inspire, awaken, and harmonize, right? Those are the blanket values that are kind of over the top of everything else. And now we've got all these other layered values underneath it supporting that, right? So we have a very value-rich, you read the 12 guiding principles of the iFit platform, that is robust and beautiful all on its own, right? So you can see transparently like where our values align with. And I think there's a big audience that can get behind that. But it's interesting because even though it's been iFit, inspire, awaken, and harmonize is, the meaning of IAH, this whole time I've been in search for the perfect slogan, right? Like the Nike, just do it, right? It's action oriented. It looks good on a t-shirt. It's something people can wear and get behind. And so I've been looking for the just do it for months, right? And we've had these other slogans that we've worked from, wellness, work, and wonder, and, these, unlock your potential, and, all these, make magic today, and all these things, right? That are perfect and they work. But, Amanda, in her brilliance yesterday, in this flurry of emotions, she goes, well, this may just be a bit obvious, but, what about inspire, awaken, and harmonize? And I'm like, genius. Like, it's just right there, right? Like it's action oriented. It's something that many people would want to embrace and get behind. Who wouldn't want to be inspired, awakened, and harmonized to that which they truly want in life, right? Like, who doesn't want that, right? There may be a few people, but hey, it's like, go have fun in that world, right? It's not one that I'll be joining you in, unfortunately, but anyways, so inspire, awaken, and harmonize.
Beautiful. And so those values of inspire, awaken, and harmonize become our organizational filter for how we take action. So, if Francesca, Michael, myself are not available to make a decision, anybody within the organization can apply the filter of our values and say, is it in alignment? And right there's our answer with who we partner with. And, how we do business, that will be infused in everything that we do. And as Michael explained, the inspiration is about inspiring others. Like this energy is contagious, right? So we want to inspire others. And it's so important to us to build community. And that's within that inspire. And then the awaken, as he described, there's a transformational component in there. There's a justice component in there. There's an awareness component, because we want to be the organization that helps to bring awareness to what's happening in the world of technology out there. And then to harmonize, to create the environment so that we can collectively have impact in this world and empower individuals. Because as Michael said, the platforms don't heal, right? We create the environment for somebody to heal themselves. The only one that can heal is the one in the mirror. So it not only is how we take action ourselves, but it's also the world that we imagine and we're here to build together.
Beautiful. Well, this has been such a great conversation. I feel like I've learned a lot, even in this hour. So I appreciate, listening to all your responses, hearing the origin story, how Michael met Francesca, how Amanda entered the picture. It's been really wonderful and inspiring for me, just being sort of on the outside looking in, just almost as a user of Aya. I can see this attraction to using this app, to hearing the music, to creating the art, but also interacting with AI in a heart-centered way. I think that's so novel, and for me, that's really what has always been the missing point for AI. And in science fiction, this has been delved in so deeply, like what makes us human. Well, it's the emotion, and that's always been the missing point with AI. But here with Aya, we have almost that idea that we can provide our feelings, our emotions, and Aya is just there to harmonize with us. So, yeah. I love that. Any last remarks, Francesca?
Well, I think this is a great platform to express the utter gratitude that I have to be in this place at this time, with this group. It's almost surreal. I'm sure glad I entered this timeline, because I do have a strong desire to make my contribution to this planet impactful, heard. I want to leave a legacy, like a trail of love, and broadcast it in the world for, of course, like every parent, my children, and I want to instill them in my children to share with their children. So I'm here to create an echo of love. And I feel like this beautiful group and that first song Michael played for me with Frequency are the recipe. So I'm very
okay. Now I know what track we're going to start the show with. So okay. Michael, send it to me.
Will do.
Previously unreleased. Great. Well, again, I appreciate your time today, and I'll just wrap it up with my little spiel.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Harmonize Your Life, Conversations with Aya. We hope you found inspiration and practical insights to enhance your well-being. Remember, you have the power to transform your life, and Aya is here to help you every step of the way. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Stay connected with us on social media and visit aya.fit for more resources to inspire, awaken, and harmonize your life. Until next time, stay well and keep shining.